If you want to embrace your potential and know what you are truly capable of creating, being, and allowing yourself to have in this lifetime, you need to look at this one thing. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Sylvia Salo and I help lightworkers, starseeds, priestesses, and leaders to remember who they are. And I do so inside of my School of Remembrance, where I guide people through different levels of consciousness that mirror the ascension journey, and I help them to remember their power, their gifts, and step into their highest potential so that they can create the life they are meant to have in this lifetime. And today I want to talk about how to truly step into your potential. To me, your potential, our potential, is the most exciting thing there is. Because the way I've always seen it since I was a little girl was that we all have this beautiful highest timeline available to us. And I can psychically see, like when people come to me, I can see what their highest timeline is and I tell them. And then people step into it to various degrees. And this is something that has been always fascinating to me. Why someone can step into their highest timeline completely, embrace it, and become it. And why someone doesn't step into it at all, and someone else steps into it just a little bit, right? So what is it that's like making us to get unrestricted, to tap into that potency within us, to tap into that limitless energy? And this is what I help people with in my School of Remembrance, because this is the deepest topic to my heart and soul. I want you all to thrive. I want you all to be unlocked, to be activated, to be ignited, to create the life you desire. Because if you don't do that, what else are you doing? You know, I just see this highest potential as something that we are supposed to embrace, to step into it, to explore with that sense of curiosity. It shouldn't feel heavy. I know that many light workers feel like time is ticking, right? Like you feel this pressure that you have to act on something. And in a way, this pressure is good because it does come from your soul. Because your soul is telling you, hey, like you could be here on this timeline doing those things that are more beneficial to you than repeating the old stuff that you've done all over again in many different lifetimes, right? It's time to move on. So this kind of pressure can be beneficial. But I also see that it's getting people stuck because you get into this space in your life where you maybe compare yourself to other people, or you compare yourself to yourself because you know that you could have been further in your life and you are not, and it can stop you and limit you. So I want you to really move from that unrestricted energy. Don't think in terms of time. Get out of that time matrix. Think in terms of that pure energy that's moving through you, and what does that energy wants to create through you in this lifetime. Just be tapped into it. Don't give it some timelines, deadlines, and so on. Because this is like devaluing the energy, the potency of your infinite being. So when you are exploring your potential, it's like a river. It never ends, you know, because the river then flows into the ocean. The ocean is oneness, it's God, it's who we truly are. But when you are stepping into the river, it continues changing, it continues flowing. So you continue exploring your highest potential. And so when you do so, you are truly exploring who you could be and who you truly are, because on that higher level you are that limitless being. You already are it, but your human self and the 3D self doesn't know it yet. And this is the beauty of what we do here on earth. We are truly the bridge between the higher realms and this physical 3D realm, and we are downloading our spirit and this God's consciousness, and creating from it our lives based on our original blueprint, our uniqueness. And this is the most fascinating thing because, we can spend life doing all kinds of things that in the end are maybe not important as much. We may get stuck in some kind of fears or patterns or dynamics or loops for decades. Or we can be actively stepping into that potential. And stepping into your potential will naturally trigger all kinds of fears, right? I see it with my clients all the time, like it triggers those deep soul wounds that you carry from different lifetimes. It triggers all kinds of things within you. Usually people need to really work on their value, their self-worth, so that they can allow themselves to have what their soul wants them to have, right? To allow yourself to also receive the results of all the energy you are putting out there and with which you are creating. You need to allow yourself to also receive it back. This is truly essential. And so I see it daily with my clients, and I see it with everyone. As I said, I've been super focused on this since I was a little child, really. This is one of the first things I started noticing in people. And I just want you to know that you've done many things over those lifetimes. You have such a richness and wisdom within your soul that you can lean on, you can tap into, you can channel it into your life. Right now, we are in the time where you can connect to any healer, any coach, any guide you need to help you and support you on your journey. You have the resources at your fingertips, literally. And so there is nothing that is truly stopping you other than yourself, than your fears. And obviously, I'm not now talking about some collective external things. I'm talking about our personal reality. And so if you want to embrace your highest potential, I really invite you to look at how you are distracting yourself from who you are here to be. Distractions are the things that takes us from our power, our soul, our purpose. It's those kind of things that have very low energetic currency, and they just keep us stuck in certain loops. They don't really create anything. Let's say, I don't know if someone's doing it, but watching Netflix for a couple of hours a day or whatever is the amount doesn't really help you with anything, most likely, right? So this is just a silly example, but those distractions we have on so many different levels. I see it again with my clients daily. Those distractions can be really sometimes so tricky that people don't even realize that they are running away from who they can be in this lifetime. And so I invite you to sit down with yourself and look at those distractions. You may be distracting yourself by doing some things that you know don't really matter, but they feel comfortable, they feel familiar, they feel easy, because you don't have to stretch yourself when you do it. What happens when we create those distractions is that we are actually subconsciously afraid to step into the energy of who we can become. We are afraid to step into our power and to also allow ourselves to have those results that we want. So instead we distract ourselves and we go into some activity that feels easier. It feels familiar. So likely those distractions is something that you have learned in your childhood, but it's also something that you have picked up later on in your life. But how those things serve you, that's the question. Do they generate something? Do they make you feel energetically spacious, rich, ignited, or not? If not, then maybe it doesn't benefit as much. So really identify those distractions. I see it time and time again. let's say there's like many of my clients actually have written books during the time we work together. And this is so fascinating to me because you may think writing a book is simple. In a way, it can take just like a month to write a first draft if you truly channel it from the soul and from the right energy. You are in the flow. But for most people, it takes really a couple of years that they live with a book inside of their heads, their hearts. They know they are here to do it, but still they don't get themselves to do it, and they distract themselves with all kinds of different things because there can be many fears related to it. If, let's say in this case, you are writing a book, the topic that you write about is somehow a reflection of you, right? And so if there is something that's not fully processed for you in that topic, you will create resistance to finishing the book. And instead of working with those themes and things that show up, you may procrastinate because that's easier. But what is procrastination? Procrastination is simply not managing our energy well. That's it. I really think when people procrastinate, it's because they are afraid of becoming who they are meant to be, and because they don't have the vision, the long-term vision and the why. But if you have those two things, there is no procrastination. You are constantly in the flow. And so just like writing with this book, what if you finish it and no one likes it? What if no one buys it, right? So it's tied to your self-worth. And so you maybe distract yourself by, I don't know, cleaning your house every day a couple of times because that's easier. Those distractions can look whichever way. Sometimes they're very easy to spot, and sometimes they're very sneaky, very subconscious, where you just continue repeating the same things over and over again in your daily life that don't generate any new fresh energy anymore. So I truly invite you to look at those distractions, because if you change this one thing, if you stop distracting yourself from your potential, you allow yourself to embrace it. That doesn't mean that embracing your potential gets like super easy. I think it's one of the most difficult things for us to do. There will be lots of resistance that you have to move through. But the idea is that you have like an active relationship to your potential, rather than distracting yourself and checking out of reality and numbing yourself. So you work with that resistance, you work with those fears. You do whatever you need to do and shift inside of yourself, and you continue moving along that river of your potential until you reach that big ocean. And that's how we best utilize our energy, because this is what the soul truly wants. It wants you to explore. And remember, you are an infinite being, meaning you already are all of those things that you desire, that you feel in your heart. You are it, but your human self doesn't have the experience yet. But you are it, so you are just allowing it. And so when you are exploring your potential, you stop stopping yourself. You stop this kind of cycle of starting and just stopping yourself, taking a break and then coming back to it again. It's not efficient in terms of energy. You need to build up lots of energy to create some kind of momentum in something. But if you stop yourself once you reach the momentum or just before, then you always have to start again. And years can pass by, and you find yourself like being committed to something and then stopping. That's why it's so essential to work with this consciously, to really put it at the forefront of your attention. How can you change those cycles? How can you stop stopping yourself? Because it truly is possible to have those cycles much shorter. So perhaps you would go intensively into something for a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, maybe half a year, maybe a year, I don't know. And then you stop yourself. Then you freak out for some reason, right? There's always a good reason for it, and it's something to work with. And then you have to come back to it again, But instead, you can truly train yourself. It's just a practice, it's just about inner work, to have those cycles within like a couple of seconds. So let's say that you could potentially stop yourself from doing something that your soul wants you to do, but you're able to move through that resistance and through that energy just in 5 seconds instead of it taking a year. And then imagine how your life could look like if you stopped stopping yourself. So think about those distractions, what they are. Likely there are many. There are some from your childhood, past lives, maybe from your ancestral lineage. There are some that you have picked up from society. Look at what those are. And how can you stop stopping yourself? How can you be stepping into your potential? Thank you so much for watching, and if you like this video, please give it a like, share and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I see you next time.